The Redondo Beach Center for Spiritual Living and the Ministry of Dr. Moira Foxe presents Living Ideas.
So, welcome into this wonderful place and state of grace, because it's all about states and not places, isn't it? Very interesting week for me. As I was moving through the week and I was mulling over this thing called love shouting for joy, it had to keep knocking me over the head because I didn't have time to stop and think about shouting for joy and so on and so forth. So I thought, you know. So it was one of those super califragilistic weeks, and it was one of those weeks when I would love to have been able to clone myself, but I'm still working on that and it's not happening. I tried, you know, by location, that didn't happen either. So anyway, this thing kept bubbling up and wanting my attention, so it had an amazing effect on me, I have to say. And those words, you know, love shouts for joy, were moving me all the time, stirring me all the time, you know, and they evoke a response, an energy, an action, a feeling when you give them attention, because it's demanding when you think about it. Love shouts for joy. I haven't got time to be shouting just now, you know, and all of that jazz, because we're out there in the marketplace, in the world, and we're doing what we can do the best we can to keep it all very composed and zen-like, and to be in the flow and breathing and being the peace that passes understanding and floating through the world like we imagine we can be when we're in touch with the godliness of spirit. Now that's an image, it's a picture, it's a thought, it's an idea, and it is possible. But you know, in the kind of world that we're in just now, and in the situation we're in just now, we don't always get the luxury of doing and being and having that and only that. Because people want to know things, and people are asking for things, and people need you to do things, and so on and so on and so on. And of course, some of them get crabby, and it's hard when you're in front of crabbiness going, I am shouting for joy. Joy. It's all joy. You know, I'm working on that, and you know, I'm getting better at getting there more often than not, but you know, there's the and not as well to be contended with. But anyway, I took these words, I took them on, I took the bull by the horn, and I allowed them to do what they wanted to do and to show up however they wanted to show up by means of me. And it was good, and it was very, very good. And it was necessary too in this week, because it kept me tracking and it kept me single-minded, and it's all about being single-minded. Love is simply the essence of life, and life is the essence of love. And its energy shows up as joyousness, as celebration. And that can only happen if I'm coming from an attitude of gratitude and thanksgiving, because it's so much easier to be praising and joyous when I realize I have so much to be grateful for and for which to give thanks. That makes it easier. But if I'm just being joyous out of the blue, it doesn't work so well. I want a reason for being joyous, and I have a reason for being joyous. Every day of my life, if you ask me how I am, I'll say, I am blessed, and I mean it. And when I know I am blessed, I have a reason to be in joy. I have a reason to be grateful. I have a reason to be thankful. So every blessed moment of every blessed day with every blessed person I'm with, I know I am blessed. Regardless, I am blessed whether I feel it or not, think it or not, believe it or not. I know now I am blessed. And so that takes me into that responds to the invitation to come up with joy to the house of the Lord. And the house of the Lord, in our way of expressing, is higher conscious awareness, pure conscious awareness. Let us go up with joy to the house of our Lord would be, let us move into a prayerful state, consciously aware that we always have available to us that higher essence and that higher way of being, and that opportunity to be that which we are created to be. And that's what today is all about. It's all about understanding, again, a little bit more fully and a little bit more deeply who and what we are. Now, since God is love, and love is God, and we are created in the image and likeness of God, guess what? I can say, I am love. I am love. I'm the image and likeness of love. Well, am I? Do I show up as the image and likeness of love? Ask your neighbors and ask your friends if you do. Don't ask yourself. You'll get the best answer from your neighbors and your friends and the people who know you well. Do I show up as love? Because if I do, I'm joyous in myself and in my day and in whatever it is that is before me. Because I cannot show up as love and not be joyous. Because love celebrates. It celebrates in this joyous state of what it is. It celebrates what it is. It is life. And life is energy. And life is flow. And life is essence. And life is substance. And life is good. And life is very, very good. And that's what you are. And that's what I am. But do you think we know it? Do you really think we get it? Well, maybe sometimes, and not time here and there. The key is to get it all of the time. And when I say all of the time, it doesn't mean that you're going to be aware of it all of the time. It means that when you become aware that you're not being it, you make the decision to return home back unto yourself and your truth and your goodness, or as Jesus would call it, the Father, the kingdom within you. And that's what we have to do, and only that. As soon as we wake up and realize we've gone into separation, we have separated ourselves from the truth of our being, make the decision, well, I am going back onto that state of truth and well-being and celebration and joy and blessing and grace and all that is good, whole, and wholesome. Because we can. All of the scriptures are full, all of the scriptures, not just the Christian scriptures, but all of the scriptures are full of invitations to dance and to sing and to make merry and to make a joyful noise unto the Lord and to beat the drums and play the musical instruments and clang the cymbals and be the joy that we are supposed to be. The invitations are all there. Let us enter God's gates with thanksgiving and God's courts with songs of praise, you know, and how all of creation sings and blesses the praises of life and living and God and good and love. And so if we had eyes that could see and ears that could hear, we would see this in creation, we would hear this in creation, we would feel this in creation. Every new day that dawns, every time I look at a mountain peak, every time I look out across a lake, every time I move down by the sea, every time I see a river, and so on. Every time I see especially a flower break through concrete and bloom in its beautiful state of blossoming, I would celebrate with creation the infinite possibilities that are available to me and how nothing is impossible to the one that knows nothing is impossible. That's what we're celebrating here today, an understanding and awareness that right where I am, in this time, in this place now, is the opportunity for me to burst into joy, to realize that even though I may be living a dour day and the challenges are desperate and I'm feeling weary, even though all of that is going on in physicality, within me there's a celebration, a party taking place always. There's dancing, there's singing, there's making merry, there's music of the spheres for me to enter into and enjoy. I really am a party in a box called a body. I really am, and isn't it sad that I don't know it, that I haven't discovered that yet? In spite of all of the nonsense that's happening through my thinking, through my feeling, through my emotions, and through my physicality, I am a party in a box, and it's a great party, it's a good party, and only greatness and goodness is the essence of that party. I am life's celebration of itself in form, for heaven's sake. There's something to be joyous about. To be joyous about. I am life's own celebration in form, in physicality. And out of all of the gazillions of possibilities that life could have chosen to express itself as itself, it left all those gazillions of possibilities aside and chose me for some good reason. God must have been out of his mind one day when he goes, oh, I'm going to give myself a great good time by means of her, by means of him. Duh, I don't think so. A lot of the time, too much of the time, that's where we are. Keeping God contained, keeping good contained, keeping love contained, keeping life contained within the box, because we are clueless. And we're clueless because we're deep in spiritual amnesia, forgetfulness. We're snoring fast asleep, and we're dreaming a bad dream, and we think it's real, and we think that's our life, and we think that's all there is. Life is hard and then you die, say some people. Say some people. I've never been one of those people, and I never choose to be one of those people. Now remember this, that love is endless, love is eternal. And love is not just a concept, it's not just something that's associated with romance and feelings and emotions and all of that. Maybe part of it, but that's not what it is. Love is a force. It is a creative happening. Love is joy in action. That's what love is, a force, an active force, a presence, a power, and it always is, never ceases to be anything other than itself, always being itself in you, through you, by means of you, as you, and everything else besides. Now the glory is for those of us who realize this and catch the consciousness of it and go with the flow of it, then life is a party inside and out, always a celebration, no matter what's going on. Because there is nothing going on that enough love cannot and will not deal with in the way of mending, fixing, and healing. That's for sure. And of course, as love happens, joy, of course, breaks through. We have to always be invited to let the imprisoned splendor, the good, the joy, the God, the power, the life, burst through, free it, let it out, let it be the celebration that it is, outside as well as inside. It's always going on inside, and no matter what, your spirit is dancing, your spirit is singing, and your spirit is making merry. Your spirit is creating incredible music all of the time. Trouble is, you're deaf to it most of the time, as I am. We don't hear it because we're not listening for it. We've got to listen for it to hear it. It is incredible when we do, and the results are quite astounding and amazing. And the invitation is always not to amaze anybody else, but to amaze yourself. Amaze yourself by waking up to yourself, by coming back home to yourself, by rising up and leaving all of the nonsense behind you once and for all, and soaring and flying and flowing with life. Love knows nothing of resistance, because love is always in a state of movement, in a state of flow. It touches everything. It is everywhere present. It misses out on nothing and no one. Love is the fullness in everything, in everyone, and that means you too. And there's no resistance in it. It doesn't know how to resist. And yet, resistance is what we know very well on this plane. It's a human addiction to resist, to resist, to resist. Even if something is good for us, we can resist it. But when we resist, we stop and block the flow of our good. We stop and block the music and the dance and the celebration within us. We close down the party when we resist. And yet, all too often it's exactly what we do. We resist everything, and most especially we resist the maturing process, the aging process. And that's, however, our opportunity to come into the fullness of our being, in the maturing and in the maturation process of the aging that occurs on this plane. You know, for a wine to be really good, it must mature. For a cheese to be really good, it must age. And it's the same with you, and it's the same with me. We have our seasons, and we move through our seasons and our cycles, and these things are good. Now, we can age magnificently while we maintain an ageless state of mind. That's the best way to mature. Maintain an ageless state of mind, and youth or our old age has nothing to do with a chronological age. It has to do with a mentality. It has to do with an attitude. And it doesn't matter whether you're 9 or whether you're 109. You wake up into the same day every day, and you only have the day before you to decide what you're going to be in that day, who you're going to show up as in that day, whether or not you're going to keep resisting, whether or not you're going to come into tune with life, with love, with joy, or whether you're going to sing the same old off-key song or lament of what it is you haven't got. You can either choose to sing the song of blessing and what you have, praising it and raising it and blessing it and multiplying it and so doing, or you can wake up with the same old dirty thing and feeling of not enoughness and having gotness. And the choice is yours and the choice is mine, and it's one day at a time, one idea or thought or choice of thought at a time that's going to make the difference between our day being a day of joy or a day of lament. Because when we lose ourselves, we lose joy. When we lose ourselves through forgetfulness, we go into separation from our source. When we're in separation from our source, we choose to be in the darkness and not the light. And in the darkness, it's very hard to sing a happy song. However, when I'm in the light, when I'm in joy, when I'm connected with my source, there can be only one wheel on my wagon, but I'm singing a happy song. I can sing a happy song, doesn't matter what my situation, circumstances are, if I am connected with my source and I know myself to be its image, its likeness, its expression. Can you imagine that? You are nothing else, only the chosen expression of God, life, love itself in human form, with the capacity and the ability to express that magnificence according to your thinking, according to your feeling, according to your actions, according to your choices, according to whatever it is you're focused on, or fascinated by, or choose to empower. Through your own conscious mental atmosphere and emotional atmosphere, that's how it's done. So you are in power, and you are in charge, and you are in control of your own self, your own life, and everything in it. It is all given to you. You came in here a complete creation, but you came in here with a self-assembly kit, and you had to put it all together yourself. And some of us are better at doing that than others are. Some of us have pieces left over at the end of the process and not enough pieces at the end of the process, you see. So it's important to read carefully the directions. You don't push them inside and say, this is easy, I know how to do that, I'm good with a drill. Read the directions, because some of them may be conundrums, like Zen koans, like you get sometimes in IKEA or some of these places where the translations are weird and wonderful, and you have to figure out what they meant as they transferred it from one language to another. See, it's all an opportunity to learn, and to say to yourself, I know how to get this together. I haven't a clue. I'm looking at this thing. It's like double Chinese with a bit of Dutch thrown in. But the knower in me knows how to read this thing and put it all together. So I will depend and rely upon this intuitive intelligence within me to figure it all out. And let me do this with grace and ease and peace and joy. And at the end of it, be blessing and not cursing the whole situation. Some of us put things together with a string and a power of curses. I've heard people do that kind of thing. Once upon a time, it was even my own father. Until he heard that there was a child in earshot, and then it changed you see. Ask a man to put up the Christmas lights when the Christmas lights had to be wound around a tree. Sometimes I knew a few men, indeed, who did that, but everybody had to leave the house until it was complete and finished, if they wanted to maintain their peace and their joy and keep Christmas as a celebration, you see. Yes, we forget ourselves in so many different ways at the drop of a hat. And yet, it can all be done with grace and ease and peace and joy if we go with the flow of life and not against it. If we move with it and not resist it, we can have a better life and a quieter mind and a more peaceful body. And when we do that, our body thanks us very much, because it doesn't have to go all squished up into tension and stress and strain by what we're thinking and how we're feeling and all the rest of it. And every morning the body wakes up with you and breathes beautifully and goes, another lovely day, and then it waits. What is she going to choose today, a blessing or a curse? If it's a blessing, it goes, and all the little cells begin to dance and sing and play their guitars and use their little, maracas and all the rest of it to be good and fluffy and healthy. But if she chooses a curse, the body and its cells goes, oh my goodness, we're in for it today. And it gets all squished and all contracted and all stressed and all strained. I'm not joking, that actually happens. That actually happens. Every cell listens to what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and responds accordingly. Is changed by what you are thinking and what you are feeling, for better or for worse, for health or not for health. And so it's important that we do release the hidden splendor of the joy that lives within us. A long time ago, a man, a monarch in a faraway land, had a fit of deep depression, and none of his doctors could cure him. And eventually some of his advisors said, we think that if you find a man, a joy-filled man, and wear his shirt for a week, then that will cure you. This is what the stars tell us. So he sent his messengers out across the land to find this joy-filled man so that he could borrow his shirt for a week. And every week they came back empty-handed, nothing. They couldn't find such a person, nowhere to be found. Well, after a long length of time, having reached the furthest ends of the kingdom, they came back and they said, Your Majesty, we have found your man, we have found your man. And the Majesty said, well, why are your hands empty? He said, we found your man, but he hasn't got his shirt to his back. Which means, the moral of the story, that stuff and things are not going to make you joyous. You mightn't have 2 pennies to scratch up against each other, but you could be the most joyful person in the world. It's like the lady came back from her vacation abroad, which took her through 3rd world countries, and she came back lamenting. Oh, those poor people, how do they live? I don't know how they live. They've nothing. They don't even have a television. And that was her emphasis, and that was her stress. And yet in the 3rd world countries, I've never seen bigger smiles in all my life than I've seen on the faces of people who live in 3rd world countries. Joy, pure joy, emanating through their eyes, through the smiles on their faces, and through their joy in living. And that can be you and that can be me. If we weren't so spoiled and pampered here, we'd have a deeper sense of appreciation for all the things and blessings we have in our lives. And we call our stuff and things a blessing. That's the way we'd see them, as blessings to be shared, as blessings that are just given to us for our use on this plane, not going with us anywhere, because nothing goes with us except the soul of ourselves. That's all. So this week, the question you and I get to ask ourselves is, am I a joyous person? And am I a bringer of joy? And then the decision is, regardless of the answer, yes, that is who I am, that is what I am, that's what I choose to be, and that's how I'm going to show up in the world. I will show up as God's song through my lips, as God's dance in my heart, as God's music through my spirit, and as pure joy that lifts, pure joy that helps to bring darkness out of itself into the light, that chooses to make cold places warmer, that chooses to make a difference wherever I am, that chooses integration rather than separation, that chooses to be the blessing and not the curse wherever I am, because it is given to me to choose. So when I wake up every day in the morning, what is it going to be when I open my little peepers into a great new day? As the sun draws the curtains of night aside and shouts and says, it's given to you to be the moon song, it's given to you to be the sun's dance, it is given to you to be the ocean's joy. What's the answer going to be before I leap out of the bed and move into dance and song? And it doesn't have to be an actual dance or song in physicality. It can be, and more so to the point, the song in my heart, the dance in my spirit, the joy in my eyes, the smile on my face, the energy through my body that says, I'm alive and it's good and it's very good. And if you come into my presence, you're going to feel more alive and you're going to feel very good. And when I leave your presence, it will be a feeling that something joyous and good has happened to me by passing through me and sharing with me the essence of the truth of being, that I am a divine, infinite child of the universe, that I am God's own expression as love and life and light and peace and beauty and joy, that it is given to me to inherit the kingdom. And I remember, in conclusion, the words of the Christed one, Jesus, when he said, love is come that you may have a life of abundance and that your joy may be complete. And that's what love does. It comes into life and living so that abundance can be realized and joy can be complete. And love is your name and your nature and your essence. So at the end of every day, ask yourself, can I say to myself, love by means of me came into life today, and it increased abundance, and it increased joy, because that's my task, and that's my purpose. And remember, my dear ones, love always makes it to the end. Duty gets weary and stops along the way. So let our loving be pure and not a sense of obligation and duty, and let it be its own free expression by means of you, by means of me. You are Spirit's amazing work of art. Celebrate yourself, appreciate yourself, reverence yourself, honor yourself, and love yourself. And if you do that for yourself, you're going to do it in every person, place, and thing too. So this week, will love show up as joy by means of you? Yes. And so it is.